This course is designed for anyone who is interested in packaging their work experience into an online course. Online learning has become very popular in recent years. Prior to COVID-19, many academic institutions has been switching much of their content delivery format to online learning, and others are following suit. So, online learning is the way of the future for anyone, regardless of whether you work in academia or you work in any business sector. If you're interested in taking your experience and turn it into an online course, this course is for you, because the fact is that this is a nice revenue stream that everyone is taking advantage of in the education sector today. So if you have the experience and you have some time, follow these steps outlined in this course, and you can prepare yourself for developing an online course. Online learning is actually the way of the future. So it's not just for degree programs, but also continuous education, professional development, workforce development. All of those areas are capitalizing on online learning. Online learning is unique because it is very flexible. It removes the time constraint, as you may know already. It is flexible because it provides accessibility from wherever you are. And guess what? Online education, online learning is becoming much more cost effective than face-to-face education. Online learning is a way to monetize your experience. So you can actually package some of the work activities, the experience that you gather over the years. You can package them into an online course that anyone can take. And also, it's a way to contribute to your profession, regardless of which profession you're in: construction, human resources, accounting, whatever your profession is. You can package it and get yourself a course developed, and you can actually have some revenue stream and residual revenue as well. Also, online learning is great because it is developed, generally developed by experts in the content area. So someone who actually has worked in a hospital, maybe as a nurse, or maybe as a nursing assistant or a doctor, a registered nurse, that person over the years gathered lots of experience, and the experience can be packaged and sold as an online course. And so that individual, with all the experience they have, you can either write a book, but this is a very easy way to monetize your experience, because over the time you can earn more revenue by developing a series of courses. So, in this course, we will discuss 5 simple steps to developing an online course based on your work experience. 5 simple steps. And if you follow these steps within 1 or 2 weeks, depending on how much time you have available, you can have yourself a course ready to be launched online. Now, in this course, we're going to discuss 5 steps. Step one, we will talk about what is it that you want to share. What information do you want to share? What knowledge that you have decided to share? And how will you decide on what is it that you want to share? What skill sets that you have gathered over the years that you think others can benefit from that you want to share? And step two, we will talk about the course outline. What is a course outline? And how will you go about developing your course outline? In step three, we will discuss the course design, which is different from the course outline. The course design is very specific, the very specific packaging of the course, the appeal of the course, the visuals, the text, all of the graphics, all of those, how are you going to frame the information and the message of the course to have an impact. That's your course design. We're going to talk about that. And then in step four, we will discuss the course content, which is actually the meat of the burger. This is the meat between the bun. This is the actual foundation of the course. What is the course content? We'll discuss that and how you can go about developing the contents. And finally, we will discuss the course description. What is it and how do you draft a course description? We will talk about that. So now, let's start with step one, deciding what to share. What is it that you want to share from your wealth of knowledge, your wealth of experience in from your industry? What is it that you want to share with the people that are going to take your course? We're gonna talk about some key activities. You want to decide on what are those key activities throughout the history of your employment. What are the key activities that you think are important that you may want to discuss in your course? We're going to talk about learning objectives. What are the learning objectives? You have to have some learning objectives for your learners, for those that are going to take your course. And what is it? And so how do you develop them? We will discuss those. And then the course title. In this step, while you're deciding what to share, you're actually deciding based on activities of your work experience. You're deciding based on learning objectives. What within your those activities, what is it that the learner is going to take away from the experience? What would be the learning outcomes or the learning objectives? And then the course title. The course title will be drafted during step one. Why? Because it's actually going to help you decide on how to focus the course. And you're going to develop some draft titles. Towards the end of the course, you can finalize the title of the course. But it is important to have a working title. So now here we go. Step one, deciding what to share. How will you package your experience to be shared? How will you package it? How will you, if you were to bottle your experience in various sizes of bottles, how will you decide what content goes in a smaller bottle, what content goes in a larger bottle, what content goes in a mid-sized bottle? So you have to make that decision. Here's an example. So let's say that you are a recruiter. You work as a recruitment specialist and you work in human resources and you have 15 years of work experience. You have worked with hiring managers, and hiring managers are the people that supervise the people that HR hires. Now, the hiring manager can be the direct supervisor, or the hiring manager can be someone at an upper tier, maybe a manager of the supervisor. The hiring manager is the individual who actually understands the scope of that person's responsibility, and therefore they're responsible to work with the human resources department to effect the hiring. So assuming that you have worked with hiring managers And so you're familiar with labor laws in your industry, in your locale, in your county, your state, your country. You know the labor laws, and you know the diversity issues and other employment matters. You're quite familiar. After 15 years, you have worked with job descriptions. You know how to develop an effective job description and how to draft a vacancy announcement. So you've done this work in cooperation with hiring managers over the years, okay? Okay, so we just discussed briefly that the example that we gave briefly has to do with human resource specialist or recruitment specialist. So now here we are going to list some of the person's key work activities. Okay, this is coming straight from the individual's experience over that 15 years period. So this is an individual who understands position requirements. What is it? What is the position requirement? And who drafts the position requirement? This individual, as a recruitment specialist, understand that. So the individual has worked with developing job descriptions. So this is a task that is normally done between the HR specialist and the hiring manager. So you look at the position requirement, you look at the job description. This is an individual that has done many job descriptions. Also, this is an individual as a recruitment specialist understand what is in a vacancy announcement. What are the keywords? What are the specific areas that the specific requirements that you need to highlight in a vacancy announcement or a job announcement? This is an individual who also has managed search processes. So from the beginning of a search process to the end of the search process where an individual is hired and perhaps a contract is signed or a letter of appointment is given. This is an HR expert that understands that entire process. Also inclusive of that is the screening process. How are candidates screened? What is it that you look for in their screening process? How do you shortlist candidates? This is an individual that understands all of those things. So in deciding what to share, you want to take a look at your activities, your key work activities for a period, and see what's in it that you think that you have mastery of, that you think you can share and be comfortable with developing course out of an online course. Now, at this point, you want to draft the learning objectives. Remember, you're still deciding what is it that you want to share. But the fact that you're drafting learning objectives after you have just listed key work areas of your experience, you're kind of fast forwarding your thought process. You're trying to ask yourself some questions. What is it that learners will gain from these areas of my own skill set, my expertise? So the learning objectives are the foundation of the course. They are actually the goal. So it should communicate the benefit of the course. What are the things that learners will learn from the course? What knowledge, what skills, what behavior, what action? What is it that learners will attain by taking this course? So the learning objectives are very important. After you have listed those key areas of your expertise and your work experience, you want to list, bulletize some learning objectives. Okay, you can actually pair them up. So later on, you will put those into sentence format. But for now, you're actually bulletizing. What are those benefits that individuals will walk away from by taking this course? What are the special skills from this course that they can walk away with? Those are your learning objectives. So you want to list those and you're going to fine tune it later. Next, what you want to do is draft the possible course titles. You can draft about 2 or 3 or 4 possible course titles. So you've thought about your experience. You listed key areas of your experience, major areas of your work activities. You listed those. Then you also listed potential learning objectives based on the key areas of your experience that you think you want to share. Now you want to draft a course title. The course title should be something very catchy. It should be important. It should consider the audience, the learner. Who are the learners that you're going to be targeting? Your course is going to target. And based on your course objectives, you can draft 2 to 3 course titles that you can collapse later after the course is finally developed. You can come back to the course title and tweak it into what you want. But the course title has to be relevant and to the particular conversation, the particular course. It has to be relevant. And it can be done in the form of a phrase. Um, and so it has to be catchy so that, and also it has to be drafted with certain keywords so that anyone who is searching for a particular cause that is similar to yours, because you have those keywords in your course title, your course will be listed. So anyone who's online and Googling a course that is similar to your course is going to come up as well. So you have to use specific keywords and list briefly maybe 3 or 4 course titles that you're gonna revise later at the end of the course development process. So let's recap quickly. So we have done the review of your expertise. We know that this person is a recruitment specialist, and we talk about specific areas of this individual's work. And based on that, we talked briefly about potential learning objectives or learning outcomes based on the areas of expertise that we discussed. And now we just converse about developing draft course titles. So moving on to step 2, drafting the course outline. Course outline is going to focus on topics, structure, and delivery. Topic, structure, and delivery. The outline of the course is really talking about the sequence of the course, the sequencing of the course. What chunks of knowledge should be learned first? What are the prerequisite knowledge areas that need to be exposed to the learner first, second, third, fourth, etc., etc.? And for online learning, it is good to develop your topics into modules. So the course topics, the course structure, and the course delivery. Now, what are the broad areas of knowledge you would like to share? We've looked at several areas of the individual's expertise and skill set. So at this point, with the outline, you want to make some preliminary decision on the broad areas of knowledge that you want to share. Is it going to be about the recruitment process? What about the recruitment process you want to share? So there has to be some decisions made here. All right. So I recommend 3 to 5 major topics that are all connected as part of the outline. So you would make a decision on what areas of your expertise that you want to share and list them in the form of topics. Okay. And you want to also consider the learning activities that each of those topics are going to be supported by. So if you're going to be discussing how to develop an effective position description, what are some of the activities in drafting a position description that would be important for you to discuss under that topic? If you're going to be discussing how to advertise a vacancy or where to advertise a vacancy, what are some of those specific areas of conversation you're going to bring up here that will support that particular topic? So the topics should be, they will guide the content development. When you get to developing the content, you're definitely going to follow the topics and the subtopics if you have those, and the learning activities. So you got to have those. So you jot those down briefly on a list. And then this should also be ordered by learning sequence. As I indicated earlier, this is the sequencing of the course, the outline. So you want to consider which chunks of knowledge individuals taking your course should be exposed to first, and which chunks of knowledge they should be exposed to next, and so forth. So again, here we're listing broad areas of knowledge that we want to share as course topics. Moving on, we're going to draft the course structure. The course structure is really how do you organize the course by chunks of knowledge, like modules. How do you decide to limit a particular module? Maybe a particular discussion, it may be too long for you to have as one module. My recommendation is that a module should be, for online professional development, a module should be no more than 35-40 minutes. Do not go as much as an hour, because then what's going to happen is people are not going to have the time. Most people, adult learners, don't have the time to sit and go through one learning objective for 2 hours or for 1 hour. And smaller bite sizes are more effective than larger bite sizes. So you want to create your course modules in small discussion points, and maybe 25 minutes per module, maybe 30 minutes per module. That is more effective. So you want to break up your modules into topics, but there will be cases where a module may have more than one topic if the topic is not too long. And again, as I indicated, each module should be less than an hour. I suggest 30 minutes, but you can do 45 minutes or so. Avoid including unrelated topics in the module. the module should focus on a particular knowledge area, a particular chunk, a particular box of knowledge. So it would be appropriate not to bring in any other information within that module. That way you can appropriately name the module, you can title the module, and the conversation would be limited within that module. Remember, adult learners are time sensitive. Most adult learners do not have the time, so you don't want to waste their time. Give them the information they need. Do not dance around the information. Just reveal it, be straight to the point, give them the examples that they need, give them the comparison, the references, right to the point. So the code structure talks about how to chunk the course, how to organize the course into smaller bites so that it will be consumable and it will be effective. Also, still in step two, how do you plan to deliver the course? This is something you have to think about. How do you plan to deliver this course? This seems like a strange question, but you have to remind yourself that this is an online course. It's not face to face, it's online. And because it's online, you have to anticipate certain things. You have to anticipate what would be the thought process of someone who's taking the course. How are they going to engage the course? How are they going to think? What kind of questions are they going to have? And if you were delivering a course face to face, you can interact with the learner. But because you may not be there to interact with the learner, particularly because this is a professional development course and it's self-directed. It is self-directed. So the discussion points got to be easy to follow. Everything has to be easy to follow because you're not going to be there as a developer to answer the questions. Information should be easy to locate. If you're, this is why sequencing is so important. But the information in your discussion should be easy to locate. If you're using PowerPoint, let the information be right there in front of the learner's eye. You should always build on the previous topic. This is again about sequencing. So if you are going to be discussing how to develop a position description, and or if you're going to be discussing how to develop a job announcement, you got to do the position description first. And what are some of the conversations around that? So sequencing is important. Building on the previous topic is important. And also at this point where you are actually talking about the course delivery, how are you going to evaluate the course uh, learners? How are they going to be evaluated? That's something to think about. Now we're going to move on to step three. In step three, there will be a discussion on aesthetics, strategy, delivery mode, and assessment method. Strategy, delivery, assessment. That's step three of designing. So now you're designing the course, and the question is, what will be the aesthetic appeal of the course? When you design something, you're giving it form, you're giving it function. So, how is it going to be appealing to the learners, the course design? What would be the structure? How would you tie your message together? That's part of your course design. And how will you frame the message in your course from beginning to end. How will the message be framed? You have to discuss that, write down, take some notes, figure out how you're going to frame that message. Because again, this course is based on your experience. And it is you who experience those things. And so, how do you frame it in a way that it is important and appealing to the learner? And think about functionality of the course. How will the course have delivery appeal? And that is, besides the actual core content, what else is going to appeal the learner? Use of graphics, for example, use of PowerPoint or videos. Those are all delivery appeal. Those are things that you use that can make the learning more exciting and more fun, using graphs and charts and graphics and pictures and images. So you need to think about what type of appeal you're going to have in delivering the course, and what images you're going to have, how you're going to give the course aesthetics, how's it going to look, how's it going to feel, um, what image going to remind people of your course, or what is the message your imaging is going to give as part of your course design. Think about that. Still designing a course, what is the mode of content delivery? What is the mode? We know that this is an online course, so the mode is going to be technology. So you have to think about the type of technology that will be used to deliver the content. And what is going to be video? Are you going to use PowerPoint with voice over like we're doing now? It's going to be text with voice or text with no voice. Are you going to give reading assignments? How are you going to deliver the contents? How? And what will be the duration of each module? What would be the duration? We talked earlier about moduling, but you have to decide how long will a module be. Is it going to be 25 minutes? And what you're going to capture in that 25 minutes? A module could be a video, and another module could be a PowerPoint. You can decide how to mix it up. But here's where, during the design phase, you make a decision how you're gonna to design a course. You kind of sketch it. It's like designing a house before you actually begin to build it. So here you're actually designing this online learning course for professional development. You would think about what type of assignments, will there be any projects or activities in the course. So as you reflect on the key areas of your knowledge and the learning objectives, and you think about the course titles, you now are designing the course. You already build a framework. You already built the outline. So now you're building the framework of the outline. So you're giving that outline a little bit more meat here in this the mode of content delivery. You have to relate to that mode. Since it's going to be done independently, there will be no faculty interaction. There will be no chat room where an instructor is going to go and respond to students. An online professional development course is actually, it's like a book that you just buy and read. You do not ask the author about what the content is and what did the author mean in a particular chapter. You have to be able to give enough information so that the reader will understand. So here in this case, the course design has to give enough information so that the learner will be able to self-direct their learning. Still on the course design, how will learners be assessed? We just touched on that briefly, but it is important. How will the learner know that they understand the content? Are you going to have questions after each module? And if you do, you have to have some way of giving them the answers to those questions. Again, remember, these type of courses, these type of online courses, there's no faculty or interaction with the learner. So certainly after a particular reading or a particular module, you may ask three, four, or five questions, and after that you reveal the answers. So that's a way of assessing the learner. So the learner can do that by self-assessing them, their learning. Okay, you can also do it by providing some questions at the end of the course. And so those questions should be linked on particular topics and particular conversation or discussion in the course. It can be an end of course questions or questions based on module. Or you could decide there should be no assessment. You take the course and you take the knowledge, and that's it. You're not going to be assessed by anybody. So you can make that decision as a course developer. But you need to make the decision, how will the learner be assessed? There's either no assessment or self-assessment. You got to have that in the course. Step 4, writing the course content. This is the main part of the course, okay? And so content's got to be customized, it must stimulate learning, and it must be ready to use. Remember these three things. If you don't remember anything else, your course content has to be customized. And that is, it has to fit, it has to be tailored to the learner. And so that means you need to anticipate who your learners are for this particular course. If you design a human resource course and you title it recruitment, that means people who work in recruitment might be interested, but also managers and hiring managers that are frequently recruiting might also be interested in your course. So the course has to be tailored, the content has to be tailored to the audience. And it must stimulate learning. And what does that mean? Basically, what that means is you have to have activities, and the course has to be designed in a way that individuals will enjoy the course and want to learn more about the topic. Okay, so it has to stimulate. And then ready to use, basically, this is professional development. So the knowledge gain should be ready to use. It's like if you went to the store and you bought a suit to go to a wedding, that suit should be ready to use. You have to just put it on and go. You don't need to go to a tailor to do some work on the suit. You don't need to go to a dry cleaner to go and clean the suit. You have to use it as soon as you purchase it. So the knowledge that you give in your professional development course must be ready to use. So those are the three things that are very important when you write the course content: customization, stimulation, and ready to use. Still on step 4, writing a course. Content should be customized to the learners. Okay? Know your potential audience. Know your learners. Use relevant examples and comparison. Do not use examples outside of the industry that you're developing a course for. If you're giving examples for hiring and firing, let it be for that. Do not give examples about engineering when you are conducting a course for human resources. So your examples got to be relevant, and they have to, your comparisons got to be also relevant. And this is one area where you can also help to stimulate learning, as we indicated earlier. You must follow the course outline and the design as you write the content. Now, you can go back to the outline and reverse certain orders as you write the content, because this is a discovery process. So as you write the content, you may realize that certain knowledge areas need to supersede others. So you can go back and reorganize your content, but you have to follow the content. If you make changes in the contents, you have to go to the course outline and make changes there as well. So that's important. Follow the course outline and the design. Tailor the course to the audience, as I indicated. Who is your audience? Sometimes you got to imagine that what type of individuals you think would be attracted to your course. You can even go as far as thinking about their age. You can anticipate that. You can also think about the learning paradigm, or how do you think they're going to learn? How do this type of this group of individual, based on expertise, based on gender and age, how do you think they will tolerate your course? So you have to keep that in mind as you write the course content. Remember to customize the course to the learner. You have to anticipate who the learners are. Still on step 4, we're still writing the course content, okay? So the question here is, how will the content stimulate learning? This is something you have to think about as you write the content, and because you can redo some wording, you can do some strategies to stimulate learning. Discussion should be to prompt discovery. So if you want to encourage individuals to go and do a research after reading a module, you have to write the module, design the module in a way that the individual, after they complete the module, they might go online and do a research to get some information that you intended for them to go and discover. So it has to prompt discovery. Even in real life situation, maybe the conversation in your course may trigger a particular instance in that individual's professional life. And so that your course can prompt some discovery there. You should use a blended approach to the course content being delivered. You do not use one approach. Let it be more than one. If you're using video, maybe there should be a live video, or there should be a video with voice over, so that you have audible learning, and you have the visual learner also present there. So always mix and blend your delivery approach. Discuss direct experience. What it is important for your learner to hear, to feel, to hear your experience and feel it. So you can give exact examples without using anybody's name, or without using any company's name. But you can give exact examples and situations, so that individuals who take the course can walk away as though they were part of a particular conversation. So the content should also provoke curiosity with the discussion. Um, you want individuals to be more curious about the topic after they have taken your course. You want to leave them with this decision to want to always know more about a particular topic. And because you cannot give all information in one course, but the content should be written in a way that individuals that take the course will have the urge to want to learn more or to be more curious about a topic area. That's how you stimulate learning. Still on step 4, the course should provide ready to use knowledge. Very important. Show immediate value of the content. In your content, your content should actually show immediate value so that anyone who took the course, if it is about human resources, if it's about recruitment, that individual should be able to go back to work and apply what they have learned from your course. So it should be there ready to use. Make the contents pertinent to the learner. So again, you anticipated who the learners are, you anticipate what areas of expertise they possess, you anticipated what career tracks they're on, so that you're actually speaking to them, and so that your conversation should be pertinent to them. Okay, and the knowledge should be practical. Use some practical examples. Give practical discussions in the online course, especially since you as a course developer is not going to be available to answer any questions, to have face-to-face discussion with the learners. Your course has to be practical in nature. Your conversation has to be ready to use conversation. Finally, you should use up to date materials and examples. All right? Because if you are designing a course on recruitment, you should not use information that is 10, 15, 20 years old. You have to be up to date because 15, 20 years ago, there was no conversation on diversity and inclusion. So if you're not in the present, you're not going to be discussing diversity and inclusion. So your course content has to be ready to use, up to date materials and examples, and practical in nature. Number 5, the final step in developing the course based on your experience, the online course. There will be 3 areas here. The course description has to be based on the course objectives and the course benefits. It has to also be based on using specific action verbs that will make the learner or the prospective learner interested in the course. And finally, it has to be brief, 50 to 100 words. When you develop your course description, it must speak to the objectives. It must speak to the benefits of the course. It has to have action verbs, and it should be brief and short to the point, using 50 to 100 words. Now, so in drafting the course description, you're doing it last because the information in the course description come from all of the information that you have already gathered from the decision you made about the specific areas of your expertise based on your course outline, your course design, your course content. Now you have enough information to draft a course description. So here it is. The course description should be done after the course is developed. It should spark interest in the course. Anybody who reads the course description should understand what the course is about, what the benefits of the course are, and also spark their interest. You should be very gender neutral and industry specific. Use words that are gender neutral in your course description. Do not use words like he or she. Let it be gender neutral and also industry specific. If you're developing a course about technology, the conversation in the description should use technological terms. If you're developing a course on housekeeping or course on perhaps hotel management or restaurant management, you have to use the industry terms, the terminology in those areas so that anyone who reads the course will understand the industry. And the acronyms you use should be familiar acronyms. Do not bring in foreign acronyms into your course description because you're going to lose your potential learners, because you're gonna throw them off if you use terms that are not relative to the particular industry that you designed the course for. So this is the fifth and final step in designing a course based on your work experience. There's a part two to this that is much more detailed that's going to come out later. But this is important to give you some framework. Now, for those first time course developers, the African Virtual Campus will offer some assistance. So if you're using the AVC site for your course, or if you're going to use the AVC site for your course, you can certainly call on AVC and we will have some information for you, and we can actually conduct a review and edit and refocus your thought process. We can work with you to design your course. Thank you very much. Thank you.